All right, let's get started. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the SWCODA's online marketing series. My name is MJ, even though on the box it says Hannah, and I'm one of the members of the La Plata County Economic Recovery Task Force that is here to bring you this video series. For those that don't know, the La Plata County Task Force is a group of leaders from Southwest Colorado's small business and economic development community and have partnered together during the current health crisis to help businesses react, respond, and recover. We have designed these online marketing classes to be short vignettes focused around tasks and ideas that you can do during the COVID-19 stay-at-home order to sharpen your brand's marketing skills and to optimize your online presence. You can join us every morning, Monday through Friday from 9 to 10 for our free marketing classes that are taught by local professional business community. A huge thank you to all the presenters that have donated their time and knowledge to get this series off the ground. So a couple housekeeping things before we get started. We'll be answering all questions after the presentation. Feel free to type questions in the Q&A option on your toolbar below. We will do our best to address all questions, but know that there's a chance that we won't get through all of them. If we do not get to all your question, we will follow up with you after the webinar. I'll also send this webinar out recorded on YouTube as well as the presenter's presentation, so you can go through it again if you had any questions. So now I'd like to introduce our instructors for the day. Today we have two of them, Paul Eckenrode from Durango 360, 360durango.com, and then Tyler Rice from Animus Marketing, and they are going to be covering SEO, and this is part one of two, I believe, webinar series around this important topic. So Paul and Tyler, I'll let you two take it from here.
Thanks, MJ. This is Paul Eckenrode, 360 Durango. We're really excited at the opportunity to be able to share this information, and we do have a couple of tasks at the end for everybody to do. Bunch of resource links that we find to be the best ones to get you going in the right direction. And really, it's all about why is this important? You know, let's think about what used to happen and how we used to get information back in the day. How did we, search for our movie times or get directions, find a business or check a store hours, things like that. We all know that this has moved so far into the realm of smartphones. And so in terms of location and search, it's really important that your business is found as well as possible in terms of these mobile searches. And why is this really important? 30% of mobile searches are related to location, and those types of searches are growing 50% faster than all other mobile search types. And really kind of what does that mean? Well, according to Google, 76% of customers who conduct a local search on their phones actually visit that location within that day, within 24 hours. And, searches like stores open now or food open now have grown 2.1 times on mobile. So obviously this is really important. Maybe you don't have a storefront, and why is it continue to be important? Well, you could look at other brands that you might be competing with locally or nationally, and maybe you've got a blog, or maybe you've thought about writing a blog and adding some great content to your website, and the purpose of which is to obviously inform your website visitor, your potential or current customers, and you maybe want to draw them in a little bit deeper, whether it's education on why your products or services are beneficial to what it is that they want, and how you can give them some of your knowledge so that they can engage a little bit better with your products, and maybe find out that your products or services are the solution for what they need. And search engine optimization, i.e. showing up high and well in Google search results, is pretty critical. In my opinion, it's the highest return on investment that you can have in terms of any sort of traffic source, is that organic search traffic. And so today, Tyler and I have come together. I thought it was really great to add Tyler to this. And I can't wait to learn about what he's about to teach, because there's a lot of strategies in terms of SEO. And I think that Tyler and I would both agree that sticking with the fundamentals and doing them really well gives you a great foundation to be able to move forward. And so I'm going to go ahead and give this one over to Tyler. He's the co-owner and founder of Animus Marketing here in Durango. So Tyler, I'm going to go ahead and stop my presentation mode and let you go ahead and pick it up.
All right. Hi, everybody. This is Tyler Rice from Animus Marketing. I am the co-owner and founder. So a little bit about me before we get started. I do have a bachelor's degree in marketing from Fort Lewis College. Go ahead and make this full screen. Can we see this okay, Paul?
Yeah, it's looking good.
Okay. Let's see how we do.
Get you into the presentation mode there.
Okay. Self-proclaimed SEO ninja and business strategy specialist. SEO has kind of been my main forte and what brings me the most interest, especially since it's kind of an ever-changing landscape and there's so many different strategies. So like Paul was saying, we're both able to come together and bring both of our sides and ideas and learn from each other, as well as present these to you from two different angles. So I work with tons of local businesses, including Steamworks, 43 CBD, Colorado Trails, Durango Magazine, and Southwest Health System. So we love working with local businesses and really thrive off of that. So I'm going to begin with a tool that we most commonly use. I use it every day, and that's a tool called SEM Rush. This is a paid tool, but I'm basically going to, give you some tips on how you can use it on a free 7-day trial, so you can take advantage of everything you can within that 7 days and not even have to pay a dime, if that's how you like to go. So beginning with that, there's a lot of really neat things you can do with SEM Rush to understand about how to build your website's SEO. Okay, so there's plenty of ranking factors. We're talking that there could be backlinks, which is other websites linking back to your website, website speed, adding keywords, business directory listings. There's a ton of different things that can be associated with that. So we're going to look at SEM Rush and how that can be used for that. So if we look in the dashboard here, so after you sign up, you get this kind of dashboard, and you can look up any domain and kind of try to understand, why is this domain doing well? So for this example, let's say that you're a dentist in town. And so, we'll go to Google and we want to know, well, who's kind of dominating the rankings right now? So, we'll do dentists in Durango, Colorado, and we kind of get some of these top results. In this case, we're going to look at Durango dentistry. One thing off the bat is that this high number of reviews, Google reviews, is a ranking factor in SEO. So anytime you can pull someone's leg to write a review for you, if they're happy with the work you've done, really, really recommend pushing that. So with this being one of the top results, I want to know what makes them so good in the results. Why is this the case? So, I might go to this SEM Rush platform and type in, that domain name, and it will give me an idea of what's going on here. So let's take a look at a couple of different things. And like I said, when you use this as your 7-day free trial and whatnot, go in there, download the reports, so you have that information on your computer and you can refer to it later. If you're a dentist that's trying to rank to the top of the Google results, well, scrape through every single other dentist in Durango, scrape through the other people that are at the top of the rankings and get that information. So we're here at durangodentistry.com. We can see this traffic trend over time. Now there's two main segments I'd like to cover over here, and one of them is this top organic keywords section. Now there's different keyword tools that we use, and Paul will cover some of the other tools that we use for keywords in the next segment. But if we look at here from this program, this will give us kind of an idea of what keywords are bringing in a lot of traffic for DurangoDentist.com. And so here we have it, based on ranking of traffic. We have people searching for, Dr. Greg Mann, Durango Dental. He's coming up on position number 5. That brings in about 10% of all the traffic on his websites. His name is branded there. So not only does this tell you like what is bringing in, what keywords are bringing in that traffic, but also gives you an ideas of what you may not think that people were necessarily searching for. Maybe you didn't think that people were searching for Greg Mann DDS and realized that it is actually, bringing in one of the top traffic factors. So this is a really cool way to understand, what keywords are bringing in the most traffic for your site, and and how you can use that to to build your own website. So for example, we have Durango Dental has a volume of 880 people per month, as opposed to a dentist in Durango, Colorado, which has less searches, if you want to optimize for one or the other. Another thing I would like to go over that when you are using a program like this is the backlink analysis. So tons of things you can do, but these are going to be kind of your two most important. So if we go into backlink analysis, pull this up. So backlinks is other websites backlinking to Durango Dentistry, and is the top ranking factor for bringing your website up in the search results. It is the top factor, hands down. Now, the thing is, when it comes to a local business, you're going to want to put a lot of efforts into other parts of SEO, because backlinking is very time-consuming and expensive venture to go on, right? So when you look at local businesses, they're probably not going to have as many backlinks. But at this point, if we can look at what backlinks they do have, and we can use that to say, well, are we able to get a backlink from them to our dentist shop, or why did they get this backlink? And so, if we can go through here and get a list of those backlinks, we can actually export that into an Excel sheet, CSV, and really get an understanding of, where are these backlinks coming from? And, if we say, for example, we notice that right here, we get a couple of backlinks from this, this ablocal.com, Broomfield, New Mexico dentist, Dolores dentist. So this right here tells me that, this comes from a business directory, right? It has kind of that directory format, and that's it's being pulled as one of those backlinks. So, then my next question would be, how do I get my dentist hosted on this directory as well, so I can have these same backlinks to compete with that? So this is kind of the SEM Rush platform. There's other things you can do, such as you can do a site audit and understand what's wrong with, what might be potentially wrong with a certain website. So if we look at these projects that you can create, we'll go back to the home page. Take a look at these projects. So here, let's say that we have project, Camp Van Life. Okay, so at this point, we can kind of get an idea of the site health as well, because, when Google sends out its robots to crawl through your website and such, they want to know, is this website healthy? Is this website being updated? Are people, are people updating it and making it better? So having something like a site audit and fixing any errors or issues, maybe it's slow, this is a really good tool to have as well. So this would conclude kind of the SEM Rush the SEM Rush tool. Really, really recommend it. It can help you substantially. Here's an example of like downloading those backlinks. You can have that on your local computer and the free trial, crawl through them on your own time and figure out how to get in those links as well. You do this with 5 competitors, you really have a strong competitive advantage right there. So moving forward, we have another tool that I like to use, and it's called the Boz Bar. And it is a Google Chrome extension for business and especially for marketing. We find that Google Chrome is a fantastic browser to use because you can add on many extensions on that might be helpful. So one of these is the Moz Bar. And, it just kind of gives you a general idea of what the ranking is of your website in like a overall SEO sense, right? So if we look at that dentist website, we see that up here, we have this domain authority of 11. So that's basically saying on a scale of 1 to 10, Google, Google would rank this as an 11, whereas, the only websites that are 100 are, Google or Facebook. Something like Animus Marketing website would be a domain authority of around 20. Now, it's something to be taken with a grain of salt, but you can kind of understand, what competition you're leading up against. So, for example, if you want to write a blog and you're wondering, can this blog get at the top of the results? Well, let's take digital marketing influencers, for example. So this is a blog I wrote because I saw an advantage in the marketplace because there was websites that are ranking high with a low domain authority. So, if we go to one of these, we'll be able to see that one of the top results, this website has a domain authority of 57, 37. Just know that it's another competition factor, right? So if you're trying to rank above Yelp that has, an authority of the high 90s, then you're not going to stand much of a chance, right? So just keep that in mind when, you think about domain authority of other websites. So moving forward, we have another tool that we commonly use. This tool is called Bright Local, and there's a lot of other versions for it. You have, Moz does something similar. You have Yext, whatnot. So basically, what these tools do is they take your information. If you are Animus Marketing at 555 East 5th Street, and you want to put that out on the internet onto like basically phone books of the internet, then you might use a tool like this, which basically manually sends out all those submissions to these websites. So let's take, for example, this is kind of like how it looks in the back end. And you can see that this is a campaign for Telluride Green Room. So when we were back there, we were able to choose a bunch of websites that it would automatically update your information. Super neat tool. These are around $2 per citation, so it costs money. But this is a critical thing for local businesses and a really low cost option. So you have these aggregators. You can send your information to one of these, and then they send it to 30 to 50 other people. And then you have these individual directories. So if you're really, really trying to save money, if you can also try to manually go in there and add direct listings yourself. You can go into nextdoor.com and add your business information, but it may take you 45 minutes to do that when you could pay $2 to add it as part of the citation list. I recommend going in there and trying to get at least 20 of those local business directories, because Google is going to crawl around the internet, and when it sees that your business is mentioned in all these different phone books, then it's going to put more trust and it's going to put more authority in your website. And when Google trusts that more, they're going to bring you up in the results. So that is a pretty neat thing. Finally, we have, I'd like to talk about GT metrics, because website speed is becoming a very, very popular and growing trend with SEO rankings. And a lot of it comes down to user interaction. If a user gets to a website, and it doesn't load fast enough, then then they might leave or they might not stick around. So, if I'm going to DurangoDentist.com, I think it was Durango Dentistry, then it will be able to show me, how is this website speed? Is there anything that can be improved? Now, this is definitely more of a technical side of things, and but oftentimes it can be outsourced to people that can really take a short time to fix it up. So this is definitely a bit more on the technical side, but having a fast website is important for multiple reasons. I mean, you have the fact is, people are going to stick around longer. People are going to be more interested in your website if it loads quickly, because our attention spans are so small now. We're so easily distracted that if it doesn't load up quickly, people might get disinterested and move on to the next competitor. Otherwise, Google will see like a fast website as trustworthy and more authoritative. So that is something that is important to keep an eye on and understand, how is it something that can be improved upon. So, here we can see like the DurangoDentistry.com as the example we were using. We're able to go in here and see that, it ranks pretty well for, all these different options. If you notice that your website, had a bad grade for optimizing images, well, maybe you can, take your images and make certain images smaller to just improve that speed, which can be a huge factor. So that kind of wraps up the tools that I wanted to mention here. I know that Paul has, we talked, he has a lot of tools that are very common for SEO purposes, and so I think I'm going to pass it on over to him so he can cover those, and look forward to seeing what he has to show.
Thanks, Tyler. That was really good, man. I'm like setting up Mozbar on my Google Chrome browser as we're speaking.
Nice.
All right. No, those are all really good tools, and I can't wait to. I have never used SEMrush, and I can't wait to do that. Tyler and I were talking beforehand. I'm kind of like a software junkie. It's like the number one expense aside from payroll in our company. So paid SEMrush account, here I come. I think that what I'd like to focus on, like I say, it's about fundamentals, and Tyler's got some great tools, and I look forward to the questions that come from it. But I'm going to cover just 3 of the other ones that I think really kind of need to be part of your toolkit, your toolbox. And each one of them is free. And we're going to talk about what those tools are, and why they're important, and how to kind of get them set up. All 3 of them are free tools, again, provided by Google. It's Google Analytics, Google Search Console, and Google Keyword Planner. And so the first one, hopefully everybody has this. What is Google Analytics? Well, it's a free software that really you embed a little bit of tracking code onto your website. We have some links. If you're Squarespace or Wix or GoDaddy, then we have some links in the end of this presentation that show you how these particular softwares can be added to your website really easily. Basically, you just put a tracking code on there and you can learn all kinds of things about your audience, who's on the website, the acquisition of people to your website. How do they get there? Did they do an organic Google search? Did they come from social media posts? How about an email newsletter? Maybe your paid search ads or display ads, or maybe they were a referral from the backlinks like Tyler was talking about. Then it moves on to behavior. Which pages are they looking at and for how long and why? Are they leaving right away? Are they staying on the page? Is the page doing a good job of keeping people moving through your website to achieve the goal or to perform the task or action that you want them to do, whether that's getting in touch with an email, it's a lead, or maybe purchasing something off of your website, or even just figuring out where you're at, or if it's a restaurant, maybe placing that online order, things like that. So the behavior is really cool. And I just touched on the conversions. That's the goal. So in a lot of cases, you can actually measure where people were coming from that engaged in that e-commerce transaction. So Google Analytics, there are certainly a lot of other softwares out there that you can put on the backside of your website to analyze the behavior and all the things I just mentioned. But Google Analytics is kind of the golden standard for having a robust tracking software on the back of your website. You can create custom audiences, all kinds of things like that. Just a really, really great tool. My next slide just kind of shows an overview, and I think what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and actually go into a Google Analytics account really quickly and show you what it is that I was talking about. So again, you're going to have, if you're following along, I'll show you where to find that tracking code first. The tracking code you're going to want to, after you set this up, we give you the link on how to access this and set it up. It's analytics.google.com. You'll click on the gear in the bottom left-hand corner, and then you'll scroll over to something called tracking info, and then there's tracking code. Maybe a little bit slow to load, but this is your tracking ID right here. This is the code that you're going to have to put in, like Wix, Squarespace, GoDaddy, or like a plugin on WordPress. You're going to have to put that code into a little form field. And like I said, we got links to show you how to do that. In other instances, you're going to get this global site tag. You may want to inject that into the header area of your website. But this is the tracking code that you've got to set up. One of the things that we like to do is make sure that you've got the right URL in there, the right travel, certain settings like enabling demographics and interest reports. Those are important. You actually have to kind of go through. I'd suggest just clicking through all of these different settings and really understand that you've got all that you need. If you have an e-commerce website, you definitely need to go over to this e-commerce and click on for e-commerce. And some folks want to maybe have the enhanced e-commerce reporting, which shows you a little bit more about your sales funnel. So that's kind of the tracking side of things. But this tool, we talk about audience. This is some crazy information that's available to us. We can find out things like what types of interests, generally speaking, if you have a tourism-based business, you might have interest being shown on travel and tourism websites. That makes sense. But another layer would be airline websites or different blogs. You can find that information out. Demographics, you can find out things like age and gender, who's on your website. The geographic is pretty wild. You can go down into where the people are when they're accessing your website, down to a city level. It starts at the country level, and then you can go in further to state, or in some cases you can do a metro, for instance, like a DMA. That's what they're frequently called. But you can see how many people are on your website and mobile versus desktop versus tablet. Acquisition. This is a big piece because you want to know, are they coming via organic search directly to your website, social media, or referral traffic? Again, I talked about behavior. There's a really cool tool we'll look at in just a second called Behavior Flow. But this is a good way to measure how these pages are actually performing. You know, your page views, unique page views, time on page, entrances into the website, bounce rate. That's an interesting one. This kind of affects your SEO for sure, because you don't want people to get to your website, find out that it's not relevant, and leave right away. This is the percentage of single page sessions in which there was no interaction with the page. So they're not doing anything on the website. And you can always hover over these little question marks to find out what's going on. And then again, conversions would be like e-commerce or things of that nature, form completions. Jump back over to the presentation here. So Google Analytics, you know, you really just got to spend time and beware of the time suck of data analysis. One of my old bosses way back in the day used to say, watch out for paralysis by analysis. The key to looking at data is making a good plan with it and actionable stuff. So you may find some data in there, but you need to go in with the mindset of, what am I going to do with what it is that I just learned? So Google Analytics is a free tool. Again, you need to get that tracking code installed on your website to make it work and start tracking. The next tool of the three that I'm going to show is something called Google Search Console. It used to be something called Webmaster Tools. You may be familiar with it, but if not, again, it's a free platform, and it really is looking at how Google is actually viewing your website. And so, as great as some of the other tools are, this is the one that's coming from Google itself, and again, it's free. Certainly not as nearly as robust in terms of the reporting features like an SEMrush. However, there are some other things like, how is the site performing mobily? Are there certain, I guess, rich search results like structured snippets? What are certain pages doing and how are they showing? So we're actually going to go in and look at Google Search Console so you guys can see what that looks like as well. This one is a little trickier to add to the website. What you actually have to do, let's see if I can get this. My little screen thing is in the way here. What daggum? Hold on just a second, folks. All right. So now here we are in Google Search Console. When you first set this up, you can go to search.google.com. That's the link to go to. And what you'll end up having to do is verify that you own the domain. You do not want, or Google doesn't want you to access this tool unless you were actually owning that domain. So you're going to have to first set up a property and then go from there in terms of getting it put together to where it'll start reading. You'll have to do something most likely called adding a TXT record to your DNS settings in your domain. That might sound like a foreign language, and it kind of is. Basically, you'd log into your domain and you'd manage the DNS records. That's where you have your instructions for email and website and things like that. Adding something called a TXT record is a very simple process. You shouldn't break anything by doing that, but you do need to feel confident enough to do at least that minor piece, because Google's going to make you verify your domain so you can get this data. And in some cases, Google has background data for several months that when you start this account, there may already be a bunch of data in there. So that's a nice little piece. So I'm going to go into this tool a little bit. You know, there's a really cool piece on this called performance. And you can do different queries, whether it's looking at a certain time range or even comparing data from one period of time to another period of time to try to see some trends. And in terms of that, it's pretty sweet. You can toggle on and off different things such as your clicks, your impressions, the click-through rate, and the average position that you're showing in actual rankings. And so here we are. This is a business up at Vallecito Lake. Obviously, you've got some branded keywords where they're getting a pretty high market share, click-through rate of people that are searching Blue Spruce RV Park. Their average position is 2.7 on that. In Colorado, I guess it's 15.7, so on and so forth. You can go up to about, I think, 500 rows and download this information into a CSV, an Excel spreadsheet, or a Google sheet for more data. Obviously, Durango RV parks or Vallecito RV parks would be important for this type of business. It's kind of nice because you can toggle on and off the various data that you're looking at to be able to understand or look closely at certain things. Let me just give you a quick overview of what these mean. Clicks, obviously that means that someone did a Google search and they clicked that particular search and ended up on that website. Total impressions. Impressions would be how many searches happened where your business showed up in a Google search result. Average CTR, click-through rate, that would be on average if there were 421 searches and you were clicked on 159 times, then clearly your click-through rate was 37.8% on that. And then position, your average position, that's the same concept. What was your ranking? In this case, it was 2.7. So some Google ads and other special Google search results will end up showing up above the organic #1 link. But that's kind of to be expected. Google is always tinkering with their search formulas and what they're showing. Another really interesting piece about this is you could actually break things out by specific queries. So if you're interested in all of the Google searches that contain the word RV park, you could apply that. And now all of these searches are going to contain the word RV park in there, that query. You could change that to cabins or whatever you wanted to. A lot of businesses actually would benefit from doing an analysis of their branded keywords. So branded would be like the name of your business or your brand. And what you want to see is, are there other companies? You obviously need to go in and do your own Google search results, Google searches, but looking for your exact brand. If you're a lodging property or a retailer or a rafting company or things like that, there may be businesses that can book your services or sell your products, and they may be actually paying for search ads to garner a certain share of the traffic. So you may make a strategy. Here's an actionable strategy using Google Search Console. You may say, well, I am the Blue Spruce RV Park, and I want more than 37.8% of the traffic share when someone Googles that. Then what you could do is create a search ad with a budget that was tied to your branded keywords to make sure that the people that are intending to get to your business are actually making it to your website, and you're not being siphoned off into other websites. That's a very reasonable, a couple dollars a day way to start doing paid search in Google Ads and actually get the traffic that is intended to you. But you do want to make sure that you're not cannibalizing your click-through rate by paying for traffic that you're already earning. So there is a balance that you got to do. Another way to look at Google Search Console briefly is actually to take like a link to the website, and when you add in a query, you could either do a page. So you want to see how this home page in particular is doing on the website. This one just got moved over to a new company, so that must be why there isn't any data in that page. I couldn't imagine that. The other thing that you could do, we could try to figure out what the heck's going on there. Not sure why that's not in there. This is, oh, I wonder if it's because it has the SSL in there. That would be my guess. Well, for whatever reason, that feature is not working on this particular one. Poor example. But the idea is that you could go in and figure out if there are problems with that particular page. So a URL inspection is also something. The other thing that you want to do is if you search, let's see, I don't know why this one isn't working. That would be an ideal one to have happen. Well, why don't we just go to a different property? I wanted to show you all this because it's actually kind of important. So like if we went to a, I think we have a COVID-19 page on 360 Durango that's been pretty good. No, not that one. Let's see. COVID-19 Durango. So we can actually take our search result here for this page and do a little bit of analysis inside of Google Search Console, and that's kind of what we want to do here. Let's inspect this URL and see what's going on. Okay, so this page has been submitted and indexed. This page is mobile friendly, but it has an issue with the AMP version. That's a quicker loading, accelerated mobile platform loading there. What you want to do when you're using Google Search Console, I really want to emphasize this. You need to go through your entire sitemap and make sure that all of your pages have been crawled for indexing. Let me repeat that. You need to make sure that your entire website has been crawled by Google. If you make a big update to certain pages, you can go ahead and request indexing. If you know that it has or hasn't been, let's see, the last time that Google indexed this page was April 22nd, 4:02 a.m. So I don't need to go ahead and index this page again. If you're publishing new blog articles, this is the tool that you need to be using in Google Search Console for Google to be able to read your website. The other thing that you need to do, other than URL inspections and these indexing, you actually need to go in and put your different sitemaps in there. Sometimes you have to go and put them back in multiple times, and I'm not sure why that is. But keep on putting them in there because Google needs to be able to read the structure of your website in order for your pages to show up in Google search results. If you're wondering why your pages aren't showing up in Google search results, it could be that you've never submitted your sitemap or you've never submitted your pages for indexing. It's a really important piece that you need to use on this tool. So Google Search Console, you can go a lot further, but again, get those pages indexed, get those sitemaps uploaded to the website. The last tool that I kind of wanted to talk about is the Google Keyword Planner. Tyler and I are both using this. And what it does is it's found within Google Ads. You need to set up a Google Ads account. You don't have to be creating ads or paying anything for it. It's a free tool. As you can see, once you get an ads account going, you just click on Tools and Settings. And over on the far left-hand side of that menu is something called Keyword Planner. What's neat about that is that you can get these keyword ideas that can help you reach people interested in your product or service. So you may guess what these keywords are that you're trying to optimize your website for, or key search phrases, but it's nice to have that data behind you. Again, SEMrush would be a great tool to augment and use these equally together. There's another one where you can actually, besides discovering new keywords, you can actually obtain the search volume and forecasts for the next upcoming 12 months for whatever it is that your product or your service might be. So that search volume and other historical metrics, that'll allow you to forecast into the future and to see how the keywords might be performing in terms of volume of searches. You might think that a certain keyword search phrase is important, but what you find out is there's not actually any volume of that keyword search phrase. So there's not a whole lot of point in emphasizing what you're doing with that particular keyword search phrase because people actually aren't searching that phrase. So understanding what your good keywords are that you need to be plugging in, this is the part one of this series, to have the tools to get the knowledge that you need to be able to implement. And that's what part two is going to be about, is actually implementing the data that you're gleaning from using these tools. So use all the different tools that we've got here to be able to glean what's coming next. And so as far as 4 things to do that we would see right now, you've got to get your Google Analytics and Google Search Console set up properly. I would emphasize that that is an urgent task because, again, they're free tools, but you need to start tracking the data. So get those things going. And we've got some links on help tools on how to do that coming up in the next slide. The second thing that you need to do, Tyler, I don't know if you want to talk about this piece, but downloading the backlink report and organic search report or research report from SEMrush using that free 7-day trial and that speed report from GT Metrics. And then, of course, use the keyword planner to develop your keyword lists. Tyler, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So when you are in that SEMrush platform, I love free trials. So I've been logged out. So if you're able to take advantage of a expensive program that could tell you a lot, as well as obviously all the free programs, then take advantage of it. That's my recommendation. And so when you are in here and when you are looking at a website, we'll look at Animus Marketing in this case. You can simply type the domain in question. What I would do if it was a free 7-day trials, I would take 5 of your competitors or however many and put them into this domain overview area. Download the organic keywords here, and also go over here to the left, or go up here and click on backlink analysis. And here you can click a button to export all the backlinks over here. So that's how I would do it for all the competition and for your current website, so you have an idea of what's going on. Yes.
So it's really just about where we're at right now is getting the data and using these tools to understand the data on how your website is performing and how people are searching. And, the next step is bridging the gap between the two. That'd be pretty fair, Tyler, to say?
That'd be very fair.
So in terms of some resources, this PDF or this presentation, Tyler and I have gathered a bunch of links to help get different information pulled together for you. Creating the account, and if you're using specific softwares, these are 3 of the popular web builder tools. We encounter these with client websites a lot. They'll show you how to get Google Analytics set up or Google Search Console set up, a couple of different guides on that, and then how to actually use the keyword planner. And then Tyler's pulled in a couple of his tools right there. And I guess at this point, we just we say thank you, and we'd like to open it up to questions.
Yeah, thanks, Paul and Tyler. So if you guys want to insert any questions that you have below in the Q&A section at the bottom of your toolbar, feel free to ask away. I have a question. I guess I'll just start for the group. So thanks, guys. That was awesome. But kind of just curious on the backlink conversation, like when you go and you see other sources on the backlinks and getting up there, do you just suggest going to like those directories and having businesses be listed? Or what do you propose as like an action plan to kind of expose yourself to more of those backlinks or get more awareness that way of your company and your Google search?
Sure. Now, it really depends on what kind of backlinks they are, in a sense. So in one case, there's tons of different backlinks. Like some backlinks could be from spam, even, from people putting links into the comments of blogs, which is not necessarily the way you want to go. But if it's something where you find a listing, let's say that during, you're looking up this DurangoDentistry.com and they get a link from ablocal.com, then I would suggest as your business, go to ablocal.com and find out how to get listed, right? Find out what they did to get listed and, kind of emulate that to build up on your backlinks, and that's just that's one way of doing it. We also it's also checking out an analysis of like, there's one place where I was getting a bunch of backlinks that I saw from a display advertisements on a website, and so they paid for those display advertisements, but I saw it as a worthy investment, to pay for that additionally because I knew it was going to give me all those backlinks. So following the links and figuring out how to submit them yourself. Yes.
Cool.
I'd say, MJ, also that if you can find out where there may be content online or in the community or so on and so forth, where it would make sense to bolster their website page and that page's authority by doing some outbound links. There's certainly an SEO strategy that would suggest that you can't just link to your own website. You definitely need to be linking to other people's sites. So through doing a little bit of research, trying to have people give their links to your site, use that in a way that supports the content that's on their site. And so it could be, just actually organically reaching out.
Okay, cool. We've got a few questions from the crowd here. I'll ask them and you guys can answer them. Is it better to list specific locations such as cities or general areas, county, for example, Montezuma County, Four Corners area, etc.?
I think it really depends on, what the data is showing. You gotta marry that to the data that you're seeing. What are people searching? And, that to me is always the place to start and work it back from.
Okay. How will these tools work with the WordPress site?
I can take this one over for some of these tools at least. I know SEMrush is kind of separate and it's on its own. But if you're working with a WordPress site, there's definitely, I would recommend looking into first of all for the speed and whatnot. I would definitely use plugins such as this is one of my favorite, Short Pixel Image Optimizer. That is awesome. Same for Swift Performance. Low cost plugins that really just take the website speed and transform it. Something like this, a Short Pixel, you can actually get up to 200 images for free, and it basically says, here's all these images on your website. Oh, actually, I should be sharing the screen right now. I'm gonna do this real quick. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So something like Short Pixel Image Optimizer. Now, finding something for the speed is super important. For images is really, really important for these WordPress sites. Because if you're uploading images and say it's, say the image is 10 inches long and it should be 8 inches long or in pixels, and then something like this program can in bulk, kind of compress them down for you, make them smaller without the images looking any different. So, I would recommend that as far as like the speed goes for my end of things. And then I can let Paul take over, from his tools.
Yeah, you definitely want to find the tools. I'm sending out in the chat here, I'm sending out some links. There's a plugin we use called from Monster Insights. It's a plugin for Google Analytics where you can literally just drop in your tracking code, just those numbers. Another plugin that I like to use is actually it's another one called Header and Footer Injection. That particular plugin, when you add it, head, footer, and post injections. There's the link right there. We use this because you can actually put any sort of things that you need to put into your website's header or footer code. You do want to make sure that you don't put too much in there, but like a Google Tag Manager for recording conversions, or some sort of site verification. Sometimes they need you to put that in the header, or there may be some sort of add-on tool that you need to inject the code into the header and footer. These are the two plugins that we use primarily that would get you going on the Google Analytics side of things.
Okay, great. Okay, another question is, can you tell me why the public is able to edit your business information on a Google listing? This makes me concerned as the owner, as I've heard of people going in and editing information without the consent of the owner.
Yeah, that would be an interesting one, almost a better question for Nick with Visit Durango. He's so good at that stuff. I think that Google's obvious goal, I try to keep things simple in my mind. And what is Google's goal with a Google business listing? It's to have the most accurate information possible. And it's collaboration between the customers leaving the reviews or getting information. They're, Google My Business guides, and then the business owners. And Tyler, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but every time these updates are made, you should be able to go into your Google My Business back end, and you can either approve or disapprove those and make any sort of necessary edits. One of the things that I've found that is annoying, though, to your point, Brooke, is that it does seem like Google will limit your ability to manipulate that content back to what it needs to be. And then you end up in a Google My Business service cycle, which is brain damage, to say the least.
Sure. I would add to that is Google's goal is to present the most accurate information. And so if you have, for example, say there's only 10 businesses in Durango and only 2 people are actually active on Google My Business and knowing what goes on there, well, the other 8 people are completely inactive. So if something changes and their business hours don't get updated, well, Google can see that, hey, they haven't been on Google My Business in forever. And yeah, it's more relevant for the customer to update it. But if you're signed up for alerts from Google My Business, they will at least let you know if someone suggests a change. And it could take weeks before that change takes place if they decide to move forward with it.
Yeah, and I just put this in the chat, but Nick Kogos from Visit Durango did a presentation last week on Google My Business. So I added that YouTube recorded webinar in the chat. And just as an FYI, with the COVID situation right now, Google Reviews is not posting any more Google reviews right now during this time because their resources are with everyone being on the internet right now, they're kind of at maximum capacity. So that was kind of an interesting thing that was revealed in that webinar that Nick looked into in more detail. So I would say the concern now of editing your business as someone else, I don't think that will be possible because they're kind of taking a pause on Google reviews. But feel free to watch that webinar that Nick did. It was really awesome. It was last Friday, and there might be some answers in there for you as well. Okay, anyone else have any more questions?
I guess maybe Tyler and I could do quick little sum ups. I guess I'll go first to wrap it up if there's not any other questions. But I really believe that there's a lot of exotic SEO strategies that are out there. And I used to coach baseball and play a lot. And, the one action of sticking your glove out as far as you can out in front of you is a fundamental technique that will help you load and get your weight on the balls of your toes and have the ability to spring in whatever direction and see the ball coming and react. These types of singular fundamental things like we've been talking about today, I've always felt like it's best to make sure your fundamentals are covered very well and then build upon it from there. If you try to get fancy with your SEO stuff right out of the gate, it could end up actually going the wrong way for you, or you could be emphasizing your effort in a way that doesn't matter as much. So my general advice and my general mantra is keep it simple, focus on the fundamentals, and excel at the fundamentals, and you'll be a lot better off than if you were kind of chasing the hottest thing or the newest idea. Focus on the fundamentals is my wrap up.
Yeah, and to wrap up with what we all had from my end, I want to see everyone succeed. And it's a lot of times, a lot of this stuff is not that difficult to do on your own, and while there's, there could be tons of marketing companies that may be able to do stuff that you could be doing yourself, so if I get to a website, step one is I want to make sure that this website is functioning properly. I want to make sure it's a good website because it's going to be the focal point to everything. And that's going to help with SEO. Next step is where can I plug in the correct keywords? How can I make my content better for people and more relevant so Google increases trust and authority? And then from there, it's systematic of doing the simple things in place of improving that website speed, getting those business directories, lining it up with the Google Search Console that will help you with success.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, guys. It is right at 10, so we'll shut this down, but appreciate your time and sharing your knowledge. And like I said earlier, this is recorded, so I'll send out a recorded version along with, if you guys are open to sharing your presentations, I'll share that with everyone that attended today. And come back tomorrow at 9 a.m. I forget who we have tomorrow, but we will have a second part SEO with you guys, I believe, on April 28th, right? So that will kind of take them to the next level with SEO.
Yeah, it's all about taking what you're learning and what you've got set up, and then next week implementing. So today is learning and gathering, getting the infrastructure set up, and then it's all about implementing in the next section.
Right on. All right. Well, everyone have a good day, and thank you guys. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, thank you.